What an outro is. Oh, what are you tonight if you're not the floor manager? Sophie's the floor manager. Okay, Kasky doesn't know who's in the outro tonight. Does Ollie know who's in the outro tonight? No.
No idea.
Didn't they tell you to sit in because they can't see you? You're only righto. Okay, if you want to say hello to your mum, you have to sit in.
Oh,
this is Ollie. Ollie from where?
Iluka. Iluka.
I like her too, but she's just the floor manager tonight. But you know, I'll put a good word in for you.
Oh, thank you.
Iluka?
Yeah, Iluka. Yeah.
Don't know what country it's in. First one tonight. She doesn't want kids. She just doesn't want kids. I want them more than ever because she just doesn't want kids. Second letter tonight. Why is there a presumption that all men are pedophiles? Last letter tonight. She got her way without learning any consequences. Worse, at the same time, she drove a wedge between my wife and I. All these letters. A beautiful bunch of panellists coming in about 10 seconds. Ollie will be gone. He's already said hello to his mum, and we'll see you then. Don't go away. Sweet and sour. 10 seconds. Bye for now. Bye, Ollie. Got a problem, big or small? Would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, 'cause baby, it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour. It's time for Sweet. Hello, Cup. We don't know where it is. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Gary Mitchell with you for the next half hour. Come and meet all of our beautiful panellists. First up, hello, Natasha.
Hello.
Long time between drinks. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
How's the world of...
A couple of years.
Has it?
I think so.
Has it? Okay, tell us about your work. They want to know. They haven't seen you for a couple of years.
What I do, I'm an image consultant and I help people with their image. So I help them dress, I help them present themselves, I help people with their confidence, I coach people.
If you turned left and looked at Lisa...
Yes. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, Lisa. How are you, Lisa? Nice to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
You're about to be appraised.
Oh, no.
What could you do for Lisa?
I think Lisa's done really well. I think her colours are all right and her makeup looks good and she projects her voice very well. And
it's going to be a boring show tonight.
She's great.
There's nothing wrong with Lisa. Of course there's nothing wrong with Lisa. Hello, Lisa.
Hello, how are you? Very well, thank you.
You're coming back from somewhere or are you here
I am actually. I went to Japan recently.
Did you really?
Yeah, it was fantastic. Up for 2 weeks in Yokohama for a project.
Wow.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I went to Japan with my brother and all we saw was Starbucks in...
Yes, the Shibuya station.
And Starbucks. It was the Starbucks tour of Japan.
It was fantastic, my trip. And there was a cat cafe. I went to a cat cafe
while
I was there.
What's a cat cafe?
It's like a cafe and they've just got, it's all cats. So
who serves you? Cats?
You have a cup of tea or whatever, and then there's about 100 cats in this room. You can just sort of pat them because they don't really have homes that are
So it's not
big
like
enough
a pussycat club?
No, it's not a pussycat club.
Okay. I've never been to a pussycat club, but I remember
a cat cafe.
the episode of Get Smart where they went to the pussycat club.
Sounds a bit like a Bond film as well, really.
Yeah, Pussy Galore. Speaking of which, welcome to all our... We're moving on. Hello, Miss Shelley. How are you, darling?
Hello, Gary.
Nice to see you. You don't have any product with you tonight. How come?
No, I don't, because I've been busy writing books and teaching classes.
You're not right. Are you reading that thing that everyone's reading at the moment called 50 Shades of...
Something?
Frustration?
No, well, it's not called 50 Shades of Pink, so I don't read it. And it doesn't have pictures, apparently. Does it?
Well, I've seen those books with pictures. You won't get them at the usual bookstores, so I'm told. Hello, Angie.
Hello.
Do you sell those particular... Well, I know what you sell. You sell lingerie.
I do sell
How's
lingerie.
that going?
And it's going very, very well.
Is there any tie-in between 50 Shades of Grey, which is what we're talking about,
yes,
and...
I think there certainly is. Lots
you?
of people wanting vinyls and whips and handcuffs.
Vinyls?
Things.
You mean records to play on the...
Oh, no, not that kind of vinyl.
What sort of vinyl are you talking about?
Vinyl cat suits, vinyl
There we go, back to the Pussycat Club.
Really?
Back to the Lisa's Pussycat Club. I'm just enthralled picturing all these pussies in the Pussycat Club.
Righto, that'll do. We've got to do some work.
Visuals are astounding.
Settle. Here we go. Hi, Sweet and Sour. She doesn't want kids. She just doesn't want kids. We were both ambivalent about it when we married 8 years ago and had no plans one way or the other to have kids or not. I just presumed sooner or later we would because that's what everybody does in the end. We were at her parents' home having dinner when her mum started nagging about wanting to babysit for grandchildren soon. My wife's an only child. And that we'd been married long enough. Well, my wife just blurted out that her mum should just get it removed totally from her head because there aren't going to be any grandkids. When I asked if she was going to have that conversation with me soon, she just said, we don't need to have that conversation because we have such a good life, and if we wanted kids, we would have spoken about it way before now anyway. She's right in saying that we really hadn't spoken about it in any serious sense, but now that she's slammed the door closed on the kids issue without so much as a coffee conversation, I want them more than ever. What do I have to do now? And it comes to us from Denny of Marrickville in New South Wales. Angie, he wants kids. He's never even bothered to speak to her in any real sense about it. What's going on?
Well, Denny, I really feel kind of sorry for you in a way, and I think because she's said point blank no, that is why you really, really want them at the moment. And why haven't you spoken with her before this time? I mean, 8 years is a long time. I don't know
If
how
he
old
really
they
had
are.
a passion for kids, he would have spoken about it.
They would have spoken about it, yes. So
He's just doing the bloke thing. He can't have it, so he wants it.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So what does he do if he really decides that he's...
Well, you
now
really need to sit down with your lovely wife and see if it is in your grand plans somewhere.
All right, Shell, does he pack up and disappear and go and look for somebody else to have kids?
Well,
Or is he just being a brat himself?
there's a sort of cliche saying about men always want what they can't have, so I do tend to agree with Angie with that particular comment. However, I do have some friends in Sydney, and there was a little bit of an age difference, and the husband, or the boyfriend rather, decided as soon as he hit 32 that he wanted to have children.
32?
And he hadn't experienced that.
He felt old at 32?
No, he became quite maternal, paternal. He just wanted
he became
children.
maternal.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Luckily, he doesn't have.
You
to
can
carry
join the
them.
Pussycat Club if you want.
Anyway, they broke up, and so that was that with that story.
I'm glad we went there.
But you know, there are things that you should talk about before you get married.
I don't think he really wants kids.
But then perhaps they didn't want them beforehand, and now it's just changed his mind.
What do you do here, Lise?
I think that they need to have the discussion, obviously. So it sounds like she loves the good life, and you guys have had a good life, and why would you want to change that? There's a lot of fear around changing what is, and perhaps she's been forced by a pushy mother, we don't know, or maybe she's just scared of childbirth or child rearing or being a parent. There are so many aspects that come into play that there might be something underlying that as well.
So you're suggesting that he finds out why she doesn't want to have kids?
Absolutely, yeah.
What happens if it's fairly valid? Like she's enjoying her lifestyle, she wants to maintain her lifestyle, or she just really is not motherly?
Yeah, and she's got that right to make that decision, and that's absolutely her choice. But it's unfair to close the discussions down and say, no, we're not having them. It's he at the end of the day, if this is going to become a sticking point, there's no way that they're going to be able to weather that storm, because there's a limit, there's a time limit, and you have to be aware of that.
So she's definitely being unfair.
I think she's being unfair, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
But only because she's not discussing it, not because of her choice. That's the difference.
Okay. Should she then discuss it and close the door on it anyway? Natasha?
I think she should be honest as to why she doesn't want to have kids. Be honest, have a conversation.
He didn't even know.
But I also think you never know. Maybe later she might want to have them. I think having that discussion actually brings out a lot of other things as to why. And once you shut that door, then you may never have that opportunity again. So. And
it's also her husband. It's unfair. As a husband and wife, you should be able to just talk and discuss about those things. 8 years is a long time, but she owes it to her husband to.
She's having a ball. Chat. 8 years ain't so long for her. She's enjoying it. She doesn't want to leave.
True.
She wants the party to keep going.
And if you don't even know that by now, I think that they're a little bit doomed if they don't know each other well enough that they actually want to have kids.
But it depends on how old she is.
Yeah, that's true.
True, and they don't tell us. We're going to keep the party going with more of Sweet and Sour after this segment. When we come back, we're going to be talking about why most people presume that all men are capable of being pedophiles. That's not true. It's just not true.
Crazy.
Isn't that right, ladies?
Very
That's
crazy.
right. That's not true. All right, when we come back, don't go away.
$2 grand a month is nothing. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you'd like to send us a letter, send it to the address that's appearing on your screen sometime soon. There it is, the letters at sweetandsour.net.au for every letter that lands here and we like and we decide to discuss. We're going to send you to the movies. There it is. Sapphires we're sending you to this week, courtesy of the lovely Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications. She's not Natalie Cameron anymore. She's Natalie O'Shea, and she's got little Eloise as well. And you can also give us a big like on Facebook. There it is. Just click on that, facebook.com/Sweet and Sour, and give us a like. And we'll appreciate it. Letter 2, all the way from Essendon in Victoria. Nolene writes, Dear Mitch and panel, political correctness has gone nuts in the commercial world. Why is there a presumption that all men are pedophiles? I don't think there is, but anyway, we'll keep reading. I was appalled that Virgin Airlines would not allow a man to take his allocated seat because he was placed next to two 10-year-old boys. That's just a disgusting, disgusting policy. What are they presuming? That the man will inflict on the boys? I thought we were in a land of the fair go. It's just a stupid, unfair policy that reflects so poorly on the lack of collective wisdom in that company. You know, some women have been jailed for pedophilia too. What do we do about that? How about we turn ourselves into such an insecure community that we make it illegal for anyone over the age of 18 to sit with anyone under the age of 18. That should make us all very comfortable. Come on, 99.9% of the people are decent and law-abiding, but again, some paranoid idiots want to cater to that rotten 0.01% and grubby up the way we look at each other. Panellists, don't you feel victimised? I'm the only male on this panel. Yes, I do, if you're all going to presume that all males are pedophiles. I think it's a horrible presumption. Shelley?
It's a little bit odd, isn't it?
Do you know a pedophile?
I hope not.
You know a lot of men though, don't you?
I do know quite a few, and I know a lot of ladies as well.
Why would a company with the profile of this particular airline insist on not seating a man in full public view next to two men when that's his allocated seat? Do you think they might have been burnt?
Well, perhaps there's been an issue that's happened before, perhaps. I'm not saying that there was, but there may have been for this to arise, and I don't mean to use the word arise, but anyway. Now, I actually have a child who is 11, so just a little bit over 10, and his father lives in the eastern states, so he flies backwards and forwards quite often.
Your son flies backwards and forwards on his own?
Yeah, he doesn't actually, pilot the plane.
No.
He does. Since the age of 7, he's
Why not?
frequented. And I, as a mother, I felt really uncomfortable with this situation. However, there is
He was flying by himself?
Another airline. Let me finish here. Thank you.
Right.
And they actually allocate a host for the children. There's quite a large number of them that do fly interstate. Now, they board the plane first. Or last, but they're separate from all the other passengers. And when they come off last as well with that particular host. And that makes me feel a little bit better.
What are you unsure about? If they weren't to travel with that,
well, I mean,
I
talk to my son about people in general, and it's not nice having to have those conversations with your child. That the world, like most people are nice to children. And most people want to look after children, nurture them. However,
of course,
not everybody is like that.
No.
I mean, we've had some instances in Perth a couple of years ago where a little girl was going to the bathroom, to the toilet in the shopping centre.
Yes.
And that was everywhere on the news, and there was something that we had to talk about. It's like talking about drugs and whatnot in society.
And it does happen.
Yes. So you need to make them aware without, it's not saying that every single man is a pedophile. However, for that 1%, I wouldn't like to risk my child sitting next
Angie,
to someone.
are we being overcautious with policies like this?
Yes, I think we are. I think in today's society, there is so much fear placed into us. Don't do this and don't do that and be careful of this. And I too have 2 children. And I kind of understand your concern if I was to be putting them on an aeroplane on their own. But I think, like you said, you kind of have to just talk to them and make them aware. But we can't go judging everybody, men or women, pedophiles, and that they're bad. And
pedophiles are bad.
No. That people in general are bad, and you just can't. I don't know.
You can't presume everyone has
No, you can't presume
those
that.
tendencies.
No. And I
'Cause
mean,
they
was these two boys, were their parents on the flight sitting behind them, or rather than just telling this man that he couldn't sit near them, why didn't they just, like you said, you know, have a host or block the seat, or? But then who's to say the person behind them couldn't be somebody, or the person in front of them? I mean, yeah, weird.
Righto, Natasha, what's going on here? Why has this company done this?
Yeah, I don't really know. Again, I find it unusual that they've done this as well. I think it's a bit unfair to make someone feel uncomfortable when they haven't really done anything, or presuming they could do something. And definitely, I think it's about teaching kids to be aware, as
You do have
opposed
to
to
teach a
maybe
kid to be aware.
and just manage your brand a bit better. I mean, how are you going to feel going on an airline and not being looked after? It's a bit random.
Maybe if the policy was known first, you wouldn't run the risk of offending people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Simple as that. Change your seat. You know, we may have to change your seating. Lise, last word on this one.
Yeah, it was handled poorly, let's face it.
Because he gets on board and he's told on board.
That's right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
pretty
and
rude.
I mean, we've all gone mad in this politically correct world, so it's really unfair to treat an independent passenger like that. It could have been anyone. Well, it was anyone. It was an innocent guy, obviously. And I would be really offended if someone did that to me. If I was a guy, or if it was my dad or my partner, and they treated them like that, you know, you just have to shrug it off. Sometime policy's gone wrong, and the air host, or whoever it was that removed them, made a mistake. But this shouldn't happen, and that's why these large airlines do have a whole system and team behind them. So yeah, it's really
Easier for the
unfortunate. It
airline.
reflects terribly on the airline.
Easier for the
Yeah.
airline to
But
put
did
that in place then.
Did they have any info on this passenger?
That's right. And also, well, if they made a mistake,
they know
Just a
give them a
policy.
free flight.
We're going to talk about this during the break. When we come back, we're going to keep talking about kids and if you have the right to discipline kids who aren't your own. When we come back, don't go away. More of Sweet Sour coming up. See you soon.
Every sweet has its sour, every evil has its good. This show has it all and more.
Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. We're going straight into the letters. Here we go. Hello, Mitch and panellists. My wife has two 11-year-old twins. Of course she does. She has 11-year-old twins at Sugar, right? One boy and one girl from a previous marriage. We have no other kids and probably won't, but we'll see. The twins see their father regularly and he's a pretty good bloke, doing his fair share for them and providing for them. They live with my wife and me the majority of the time, and it's a happy, harmonious arrangement most of the time. The young girl last week had an absolute spoilt brat attack and screamed the house down because she just didn't want to go to the movies with all of us. She ruined it for everyone. But here's the rub. Instead of taking some advice from me, my wife told me to stay out of it because she's not my daughter. She said she could handle it. Well, she couldn't because we all stayed home, yet the 11-year-old princess, once having ruined it for everyone, was behaving as if nothing happened. She got her way without learning any consequences. Worse, at the same time, she drove a wedge between my wife and I. Now, do I sit back again next time, or do I have some right to ensure this little brat learns consequences when she tries to cause some pain and discomfort to others? And what would possibly be in my wife's head thinking that her daughter will ever learn to behave appropriately without proper consideration for others comes to us from Oscar of City Beach in Western Australia. She's a brat. What do you do with her? It's not his daughter.
Yeah.
She lives with him. Why doesn't he have any right to say anything?
Oh, I think he's got every right to say something, but she is still a child and you're the adult, and so you have to take that into consideration too. I feel sorry for him up to a point where she says it's not his daughter. Well, he married the wife, so it is his daughter now.
Becomes his responsibility
that whole perception's
too.
wrong. The dishing out of punishment should come from her. I agree with that, but he should have input. That's not fair to sort of block him out. It's not your daughter, and I mean she's disrupting, and she needs to be. Taught what's right and what's wrong. So it's unfair.
He's got rights as well.
He definitely has
This
rights.
little kid can't take his rights away.
No, I mean, she's still a child, and I think we forget that. Like, maybe there's an underlying issue. Maybe the brother bullies her. They're kids. They're still learning and developing and growing. So.
Natasha, how does a kid learn responsibility if one of the parents isn't going to be disciplining and the other one's useless at it?
I think this is another situation for parents to communicate and talk and work out what rules they're going to make sure that everyone's following. It's really important that
Get it together.
parenting is a
Make sure
is
you've got a
also
program.
relationship. But I think he's a little bit grouchy, this man. little grouchy and...
Well, I'd be a little bit
I don't know about the word
peeved too.
princess. He uses the word princess. He uses, yeah...
Brat as well,
Brat.
which is a bit harsh.
I'd be a bit worried that...
He
I'd be
lives
a
with
bit
her.
worried
He
that
knows
he's
the
a bit of a-
situation now. Though.
Yeah.
So she
Yeah.
probably is put on a pedestal by her
Yeah.
wife, because lots of kids are.
Yeah,
And you
maybe.
can't go near him. It's my kid.
Maybe, but I
He's
think...
had enough. This guy's had enough. I'm sick enough with the bloke.
You like
He's had
him,
enough.
don't you? You like him.
Oh no, I've seen it happen. Where you know,
Yeah.
Barleys.
Yeah.
You know, I can't do anything. You know, it's
He's
not,
def-
not
he's-
under my control.
He's definitely got... Well, they've both got rights, but I think, you know, parenting is a partnership, you know, definitely. And I think... but I think you've got to be careful with your kids. I think you've got to be careful not to call them those names. I don't like those names.
Yeah, fair enough.
It's a bit rude.
on the wrong footing if you're starting to call them
Yeah,
names.
yeah. I mean, he's obviously emotional. So.
Shell?
Well, as the parent of an 11-year-old, I do understand some of the awkward times that you go through, well, they go through rather at this age. And you've got to remember they're called, they're tweens. They're in between becoming a teenager and still being a child. And they're
Are they allowed to scream
hormones.
the house down and hold everybody to ransom and
Well,
stop them doing anything?
You know what, my son, and I won't say what his name is, but you know who you are, has screamed the house down on a few occasions, and I won't tell them about last night. Big trouble, little China.
This is your son.
This was my son.
Okay.
However, I'll go back to the letter now because it's not about me, it's about you. Now, okay, 11-year-olds, they tend to be a little bit secretive as well, and girls and boys, they start to have their girlfriends and boyfriends, and maybe she just didn't want to go to the movies because she had other stuff. Maybe she's got some friends.
But
on
that always
Facebook or-
happens.
You know, and
They've always got a better option, but why should she hold the family to
well,
ransom?
she didn't have to. She could have gone to her dad's house, and they could have still gone to the movies.
They didn't have a plan
You know,
in place.
And Oscar's actually allowed this to happen. He's outlawed this wedge to come in, and
By
by
sitting
calling
back.
the children names, he's actually driven a wedge in there. So don't blame it on kids. You know, man up.
Last word, Angie.
Yes, I agree.
Oh.
Thanks, Ange.
I think that, Oscar, you and your wife perhaps should have sat down after this issue and come up with a consequence for the child, or maybe, you know, you two talked and perhaps your wife could have had a chat with her daughter to see why she was upset as to why she didn't want to go. And if she didn't want to go, why couldn't Oscar take the boy to the movies as a compromise? I mean, and yeah, I don't know, how long have they been married? Because I too have an 11-year-old almost and a 14-year-old. And yeah, it can be very difficult because one wants to do one and one wants to do something else, and it's very hard to balance everything up.
But you don't let an 11-year-old hold you to ransom.
No.
Rule number one.
But they are 11 going on about 20 these days. So there obviously was something upsetting this girl as to why she didn't want
They'll
to go.
stay 11 if they don't learn responsibility
true.
and consequence. It's as simple
Yeah.
as that. Which letter do you like to give away the pair of limited edition sunnies courtesy of Alon Treves and Aussie Opticals?
I think letter 1.
1, okay. Shell?
I think that Oscar from City Beach needs...
Letter 3?
Yeah,
All
letter
right,
3.
ladies.
I think letter 1.
Letter 1?
Yep.
And?
I'll go letter 1.
Okay, letter 1. Sorry, Shell. Outvoted. Coming out to, who is it? Denny of Marrickville in New South Wales, all right, over the other side of the country. A pair of limited edition sunnies, courtesy of Alon Treves. We've got to disappear. Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
Great to have you back.
Thank you.
We'll see you again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably
Thank
2 years.
2 years later.
Your hip
Grey
run's
hair.
amazing. Lise, always good to see you.
Great to see you
See you
as well.
soon.
See you soon.
Michelle,
Gary?
you're going to bring us in some. Are we allowed to mention it? No?
No, there is some left.
Okay, well,
They're almost all sold out.
we'll rectify that situation next time you're on the show, right? Yeah. Angie?
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Always good to have you on the show too, love. Thank all of our wonderful panellists. Thank our terrific crew here at TAFE. And thanks for having us at home tonight, Australia. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's not cool.